Greetings, travelers.
It
Oh
is
my
a
goodness.
dark, stormy night.
Yes, it's a little crazy out there. So hopefully we hang on here while we're recording. So,
Yes, yes. So, Mark, what's new and exciting with you?
we did a couple events this week. We had an event at our local library, which was always fun. And then we had a great time. I interviewed some authors there, and I'll probably be posting that as a Tuesday episode coming up. Um, we have the Nashville Oddities Expo we just completed after this recording. We will have done that, and then we've got Dragon Con coming up and Mothman coming up. So we've got it's event time. So EerieTravels.com, follow us there. You'll see where we're all going. Eric will be at quite a few of those too. So
Yeah, no, tis the season for Erica to come out and play, but
mhm.
I will do a little gauntlet thrown because I don't know for our travelers out there that are going to join us at Dragon Con. We should be posting our schedule soon so you guys can find out where to see us. There again, 2 ballrooms. We're gonna be with Chris the Girl, which is so
On
badass, so it's
Sunday.
so
Yeah, she's
exciting
awesome.
she's joining us. Um, so for all the Chris the Girl fans that have been like, "Why aren't you here?" She's gonna be there, so that's gonna be amazing, and we have, 1 or 2 panels with her,
Yeah,
and,
the smaller horror track panels, which are awesome. If you haven't gone, they're great. We're doing one I think Sunday night is like Code Orange, all about Halloween shopping. But our Sunday day panel, the big one in the ballroom, is planning your paranormal road trip. So we'll be talking about haunted locations, what you do to get there, how to, proper ways to approach it, stuff like that. And then on what our Friday big room at the ballroom is the cryptids of Appalachia and cryptids and ghosts of Appalachia. So preview of the new book.
so
So
yes, which we will have ready for pre-order at that time. We're still trying to hope that we can get copies, but we're in the typesetting phase,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen. So that's
yeah.
and this book, Mark, as we discussed, made it 4,000 times bigger than the last one. This is the Encyclopedia de Appalachia.
My,
So
my
things
magnum opus there, I poured my heart into this one, so that's why we
he
dragged our
did.
feet on it a little bit, but it was I had to make a trip to every single location, and Erica joined me for about 95% of it. It was pretty crazy, so, we found some fun places. You guys are gonna love it. Love it. I hope, anyway. Hope in my heart.
Oh, they'll love it, they'll love it, and, so, anyway, we'll definitely have them at Mothman, though, so if nothing else, you can get that, but we're gonna have some surprises for our Dragon Con travelers, and then we actually have an author signing, which is exciting, so if you would like to have some one-on-one time, so to speak, with us, we have a author signing on Saturday, but my gauntlet was gonna be last year, we had a foursome, quadruple, whatever set of, uh, uh, cryptid cosplay that showed up,
Oh,
including
yeah.
somebody dressed as the bench leg,
Yeah, they
which
were dressed, like, in finery.
mhm,
But they were different cryptids, so it was like Mothman was in a tuxedo and, everything, and then our wonderful bench leg was a lady in a beautiful ball gown dress, and I was just floored. Let alone my little family holler monster is a cosplay character dragon.
exactly. So, travelers, we wanna see
Floored.
what you can bring to us this year. We're super excited to see you. We can't wait to meet all of you guys again, and, it's exciting. I can't believe we're almost near 300 episodes of this, Mark. We've been doing this for a
Yep,
while now.
and we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of followers all over the world. Which is, just still floors me to this day. So,
Yeah.
thank you all for all your wonderful notes. Yes, my health has been a little under the weather. Thank you for all the get wells and concerns. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's, epilepsy is not fun. Our lives are an open book. Everybody knows. So yeah, that's the invisible illness I suffer. It's not as
Yeah.
invisible as we'd like.
No, you know what though? We love all the support of our travelers, and the fact is, Mark is, has good days. He has bad days. So, we love it when he has good days, and then, the times he has bad days, we just send love, support, and positive intentions for him to get better, and he has the
That's
amazing Carrie who makes sure he's not as cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs as he may appear on TV. So
yeah, yeah. So, at least they stopped dressing me up with the creepy eyes and the tuxedos now, so it's
your mic just suddenly changed. I don't know what it is, but hopefully, travelers, you're enjoying it. Suddenly went dun dun really well. But
duh. Yeah, yeah. Well,
what are we
that's
talking about today, Mark? What the heck?
we are talking about the wild, wild west and the weird wild west. We're continuing our history of America, 250 years. So I figured one of the most important areas we needed to discuss was the Wild West. One of my favorite things. I love the gangster era of the 1920s. I love Victorian times, and well, guess what? The Victorian times in America were the Wild Wild West days. So,
Exactly. Some of our favorite folklore heroes come out of the wild, wild west.
yeah,
So I know this might end up being a two-parter, and we might have to break it up depending on how far you can go into facts. But
yeah.
what is the number one start of our stories, Mark?
Well, we have to talk about aces and eights, the dead man's hand. This was Wild Bill Hickok was murdered during a poker game in Deadwood in 1876. Supposedly, the hand he had in his hand was black aces and black eights, and it became immortalized as the dead man's hand. Um, Now, what's strange is some people say it's three aces and two eights for a full house. People said it was three eights and two aces. We don't really know what the fifth card was. It's kind of a mystery.
Well, if it was black
Legend, some
hearts, the fifth card could not have been a black eight or ace. That's
exactly,
not how the deck
exactly.
of
So
cards works.
exactly. So some people they add a nine of diamonds or a queen of clubs, but no one wrote it down. But the term "dead man's hand" actually appears in newspapers decade before Hickok's death. So, and it's referring to a completely different poker hand. But when his murder happened, it basically permanently welded that phrase to aces and eights. So that's where we get we kind of get the term. It's why it's still around. Um, but the other thing was is he usually sat in one chair with his back to the wall so he could watch the door coming in. But one man had sat in his chair on this day and he said, "It's fine. I'll sit here." And that's when he got shot in the back. So, that is, it's a couple broken.
It's interesting to me. First of all, when he was getting shot, I doubt he was still holding his cards. I'm sorry, maybe they fell, people,
Well,
whatever.
under the
But
table. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, is the truth is that they weren't playing Texas Hold'em like we do now. They were playing five-card stud. That's the poker
Mm,
game that they played back then, and, um, I think it's interesting because you think about somebody getting shot in the wild, wild west and stuff, and, movies have this whole little sort of representation as if you just, like, slightly keel over or whatever,
mm.
but I'm willing to bet that wasn't, like, a very calm setting that occurred when he
Uh,
passed away. You know,
yeah. Yeah, the gun he
but
was shot
so
with was probably a very big caliber gun, so I don't
yeah.
recall off the top of my head what it was, so, but I remember it was a
So
big gun.
what was Dead Man's Hand before Aces and Eights?
Before that, it was a completely different hand. It was, primarily a flush, but
Okay.
it was, hearts flush, and it was 4 through 9, and so 4 of hearts, 5th of hearts, 6 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 8 of hearts, yeah, 4 through 8. So, yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
weird hand, and it was just in one newspaper mentioned it, and so it's just an odd phrase, so when you're looking it up, you'll go, "Wait, that's before then." So, um, alright, moving on.
Yeah.
Alright, this one, we got a cryptid story from 1873, and this is one not a
Wow.
lot of people really read about, and, this was basically a bunch of newspapers ran this story, and it was just this crazy account of a giant flying serpent with red eyes that attacked a Union Pacific train near the Platte River, and this monster allegedly coiled around the locomotive and spat fire, and it derailed several cars before it ran into a cave. Now, the reason it ran away was everybody else on the train started shooting at it. So,
Like
okay.
you.
So as far as we know, this was a complete journalistic hoax. There is no record of
Okay.
any train crash in that area at that time. But the flying serpent of the plains started in the Tombstone epitaph. Just it haunted newspapers for years. People would
Wow.
reprint that. So, yeah, I think that was bogus, but um, it's a dragon story. Come on, we got to talk about it.
It's
And
it the fact is that, slow news day that they're printing this thing, but it also, I mean, it could be used to deter people from coming out west and stuff. You come out west,
yeah,
your train may be attacked by a fire-breathing dragon.
yeah, and also to lure gunmen out there to help. Yeah, to help tame the
Yeah.
West. You want to kill a dragon? Come on out. That's the type of thing Teddy would have gone for, man. Teddy Roosevelt would live for that. Um, all right. So I think that one's pretty much, we don't even need to go into that. It's pretty much obvious what that was. Okay, now this one is pretty interesting. All right. Elmer McCurdy. He was
Okay.
basically a mostly failed outlaw. Could never really hit the big time or anything, and he kept getting arrested. And he was killed in a shootout in 1911. So he'd been doing this for a long time, and his unclaimed body was embalmed with arsenic, and it basically turned it into a very leathery mummy. And they, since no one claimed the body, they sold it. And for 60 years, it was passed between carnivals, wax museums, and amusement park funhouse, and it was pretty much 100% mistaken for a dummy.
Okay.
Alright, now in 1976, it was being used on the set of The $6 Million Man,
Oh
and
my goodness.
one of the crew members accidentally broke off what he thought was the plastic mannequin's arms, and he saw human bones, and that's when they figured out who it was and what it was.
So wait a minute, it was mummified with arsenic? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either. So, yeah, it's interesting,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, completely.
Okay. Alright, so anyway,
I did
or Elmer McCurdy, at least hey, he got
So
into
there's
spot.
another weird embalming thing, like, we talked about the mummies recently,
Yep.
which, as if I recall, they still don't completely know exactly how they did that,
Yeah, the
but
Philippine mummies, he took
yeah.
that recipe to his grave, that guy, and that's in our book, Dark Heart of Appalachia, available for pre-order soon. Uh, alright, yeah, and then there was another mummy that was mummified and put in a haunted attractions over the years, and everybody thought it was a dummy until they realized it was another Wild West outlaw guy. So,
Yeah,
that's what happened.
exactly.
Yeah. So, alright, so we got another outlaw story. I love this guy. Big Nose George, his that was his name,
Okay.
Big Nose George Parrott, and he was lynched by a vigilante mob in Rawlins, Wyoming in 1881. So, the doctors John Osborne and Thomas McGee took the body for medical study, and Osborne had a pair of shoes and a medical bag that he crafted from Parrott's tan skin. Yeah, and then he later became the governor of Wyoming.
So, wait, I what? Wait, did I hear that correctly? That
Yeah.
tan skin, like, of the human, he made a bag?
He made a pair of boots because he was, he was the doctor, and then he later became the governor of Wyoming, and
Gonna love to eat that.
that the story goes that he wore those shoes to the 1893 inaugural ball.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Now if you wanna see those shoes, They are on display in the Carbon County Museum to this day.
Seriously? Now I need to look up what they look like.
Yeah, they're in Wyoming. So, um, while you're doing your Googling, uh,
Yes.
we're gonna talk about, Sitting Bull. Uh,
Okay.
the arrest that ended Sitting Bull's killing in 1890, was a strange and odd thing because his horse, a gray animal that was given to him by Buffalo Bill after they toured together in the Wild Wild West show, was trained to perform tricks at the sound of gunfire. So when the shooting started, the horse thought it was showtime. And as Sitting Bull fell dead, the horse began bowing, prancing, and dancing in the middle of the chaos, exactly as it had been taught to perform.
Wow.
So during Sitting Bull's murder, it's the animal was dancing.
That, wow.
Yeah. So
I
talk
hmm,
about dancing on your grave. So
yes. Also, the boots look like a nice fine pair of shoes.
yeah.
I'll include a link in this. Instead of what I thought were like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I was expecting cowboy boots. That's not what but
It's we're talking Wild West, so I can get that.
yeah. So, nope. Okay.
Oh,
Yep. Awkward. Thank you.
yep. Awkward history. History's fun. Okay.
Yes, dancing horses, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if I could get Garrison Tully to dance for me.
That's yeah. Well, train them to fire, do it at gunfire. There you go. All right. So the U.S. Army had a short-lived camel corps. If you didn't know that, they were trying
I
them in the
know.
deserts of the West. There's a great comedy movie called Humps that's all about that. Um, but they were very short-lived because it didn't work, right? So, but in the 1880s, they left behind their feral camels in the Southwest, and one crazed camel with a red tinged hide had a decomposing human body tied to its saddle, and it ran around Arizona and it terrorized the area. It trampled a woman to death. It stampeded through some mining camps and was seen galloping across the desert with the corpse flapping on its back. And it was finally shot, and the body was found to be that of a prospector who had lashed himself to the camel so he wouldn't fall down, but he died of thirst.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
terrible for that beast. Could you imagine? It probably tried to run from that smell.
Yeah. Constant. No wonder it was going crazy and all that. Yeah. That's
Oh
just
my goodness.
one of the fun things of the Wild West that was just, you don't hear about that in your normal history books, gang. You're not going to hear this stuff in Ken Burns. So,
No, you were not.
okay.
Oh, wow.
So, here we go. So there was a great mountain man. We love our mountain men.
Yes, we
This
did.
guy was John Liver Eating Johnston. So his nickname,
Reading John's that was his
no,
name?
Liver Eating Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was also sometimes called the Crow Killer because he swore vengeance against the Crow Indians after they murdered his pregnant wife, according to him. So he hunted and
Okay.
killed Crow warriors for years. And after each kill, he would cut out and eat their liver raw. And so the tale was so over the top, everybody convinced it was just legend, right? It was goofy. But a lot of contemporaries said, no, it's true. And Johnson himself never denied it. And he later went on to become a deputy sheriff and then a scout for the American Army.
Of course you that's what you do, right?
That's
Right,
what you
like,
do. Yep.
that
So if that was true, we don't know, but he didn't deny it, anything like that. So,
well, at least Hannibal Lecter had the decency to cook the livers.
yeah,
That seems
with some
like
fava
that could get
beans.
very dangerous,
Yeah. Yeah.
eating
No,
raw
it's
livers.
yeah. And, yeah, so we it's just it was a horrible time, horrible time. Alright, so now in his own autobiography, another notorious gunfighter, this is John Wesley Hardin.
Okay.
He claimed he once shot a man dead for snoring too loudly. He was staying in a hotel in Abilene. Hardin grew so infuriated by the thunderous noise from the next room that he fired several shots through the thin wall. The snoring stopped, and Hardin went back to sleep.
Wow.
Now, whether it really happened or if Hardin was just embellishing his legend in the book, it is just one of those really bizarre homicide tales to kill someone over a snore. So it's a good thing no one's
Yeah,
ever
no,
roamed.
but we've seen people do that. So, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
we've
we've seen
seen people
people
take
merciless.
extreme things from annoying situations.
Uh, Caligula had a nephew had his head chopped off because he was coughing too much and had asthma. So it's like I cured his cough. So yeah,
Oh, God.
history's
Gila.
bad. History's bad, gang. All right. So now this is one I've had so many people ask about. So because they're like, what do you think of this? Because for decades, cryptozoologists have hunted for this lost photograph, supposedly taken in the 1890s in Arizona, and it's a massive bird resembling a pterodactyl, and it's nailed to a barn wall with a wingspan reported to be about as much as 36 feet. And it was apparently published in the Tombstone Epitaph, and many people swear they saw it in their youth. Like a lot of grandfathers and great grandfathers said they saw it. The
Okay.
photo has never been seen. There has been no sign of it in history. Now, you will, if you Google Civil War or Wild West pterodactyl photo, you'll find a few because some Civil War reenactors reenacted it. There was also a TV show called The Freaky Links on Fox. It predates the X Files, I believe. And they made that was their intro episode was them seeking that photo and they made a copy of it. And that's the one that circulates online. Um, We've seen almost 99% of the Tombstone Epitaphs newspapers. They've been recovered. Uh, there is no issue with that so far. Um, but it is one of those the Tombstone Thunderbird is pretty much one of the West's great cryptid mysteries still. Now, we have heard of giant birds and seeing weird things as the condors have made it that far and um, other giant birds. So I'm not saying it wasn't there. I'm not I'm saying people saw something they didn't understand maybe, but also the flying serpent story also came from the Tombstone Epitaphs, so they may have been a little bit of the National Enquirer of their day. So,
That's interesting. I mean,
yeah.
when you Google it, there's some very interesting, fun ones.
Yeah, there's been a lot of AI on it too, so it's, the way it
Oh,
goes. Okay, so we
but
got
I
one.
mean, it kind of makes sense because we do know that there have been some more. I don't want to say there have been some dinosaurs left around, but there have been some creatures that did manage to still. I mean, not like hundreds of them, but I wonder.
Yeah,
Who
coelacanths
knows?
and all that, yeah. We don't know. Like, again, they saw something they don't understand. Um
Exactly.
Or they didn't. Um, or
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 they
the writers were
made it
very
up.
imaginative. Alright, so, now the next one, of course, we have to talk about the jackalope. You know, the jackrabbit with the antelope horns, and it is probably right up there with the Fiji mermaid as the most successful taxidermy host in taxidermy hoax in American history. It was, basically, Douglas, Wyoming in the 1930s. Um, they mounted a deer antler on a stuffed rabbit, and, the creature roots go back to the early 1800s, and, postcards now depict the beast. They had official hunting licenses, and it's a folklore icon now, and it was supposed to mimic human voices and outrun cowboys, and it can legally still be hunted in Wyoming today. So,
That's good to know.
yeah. So if you do see one, we'd love to. But yeah, just like the Fiji mermaid, which a taxidermy hoax that just grew legs, and yeah, this one literally grew antlers. So
What's funny is it the one that's in the Smithsonian?
I think it might be. I think they do have that in their folklore exhibit. Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, very much so. And it was a lumberjack story, like the Hodag and all that before then. And uh, we had a whole episode on lumberjack monsters. So tune into that.
Yes.
All right. So one more before the break. I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
There was a gunfighter who was a good guy. He was a lawman. His name was Mysterious Dave Mather. I like Mysterious Dave.
We
Yeah.
need to start doing this with names again. Like, creepy Mark Muncy or,
Yeah.
eerie Mark Muncy and Scary Cat Erica Lake or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah. Yeah.
just need to be
Something like
much
that.
better about this.
Yeah. So Mysterious Dave Mather, he was in Mobile, Texas, and there was a murder there, and he was blamed for it. And so a lynch mob captured him, took him to the scaffold, was gonna take care of business. But according to Frontier legend, he asked for one last request, which was to play his fiddle, and he
Okay.
played so beautifully or so mournfully, depending on the legend. The mob was moved to tears. So they let him slip away. They unloosened his bonds and just said, "Get out of here." Now, the story's probably exaggerated a little bit, but it just shows that he did get away. So, it just shows how the sentimentality of it, can turn vigilante justice. I love that. So,
So let let's just take a moment here. I'm gonna
yeah,
take a moment before the break. That he was playing I feel like that's a really good excuse is what I feel like.
I
Like,
think,
what
you just
happened
want.
to him, you know? Like,
Yeah, last requests, I think everybody deserves one. I think even the most vile people on the planet deserve a last request. Now they may not get it, but they can make it. Everybody can make that last request. Because personally, I wanna go to Valhalla, so if the nurse comes in to, put me down, she better be ready because 'cause I'm gonna try to stab her, so that way I die in battle. So
I'm going to potentially have to warn any of your nurses to brace
exactly.
for
Just make
impact.
sure they come in ar they're gonna know, I'm gonna tell them, "Wear a suit of armor, just be ready." I may just throw a pillow at you, but at least I'm dying in glorious battle, so,
I brilliant, brilliant. Yes, I
yeah,
like it, I like it.
right. So, yeah, well, we've got a lot more fun names coming up, and we will get to those after the break.
Destiny Beard, the lyrical soprano who will haunt your dreams. With her alluring melodies and intricate harmonies, this dark siren of wistful song shall capture your soul and lead you into the night. Check out Destiny's new single, The Haunting Is Over, with international musicians Sam Haines and Gary Bennett, as well as her other musical works at destinybeard.com.
We're both drinking out of our Bucky's cup, and I just wanna point out, have you seen the one for this year?
Yeah, the Halloween one, it's in the shops. We're trying to grab one on our trip to Nashville, so
I'm
excited.
going to need one of these kind when you do that because I saw the new ones and I'm gonna need one.
And they glow in the dark. I'm like,
I
"Oh,
know,
yeah."
I saw it and I was
Yeah,
so thrilled with it, so
yeah.
one
Last
Bucky's
year, they
piece
kinda
for
let us down.
us.
Last year, you let us down, Buc-ee's, but this year, bringing it back, so bounce back
Mhm.
strong, so alright,
Yeah,
you want another fun name
I would love
to
another
start?
fun name.
Okay, train robber Tom Blackjack Ketchum. So,
So he has a double. He's got train robber and I like that.
Yeah, well, train robber is just what he was. So he was sentenced to hang in Clayton, New Mexico in 1901. Um, the execution was botched because the rope was measured for his pre-jail weight. So behind bars, he just put on tons and tons of pounds. So yeah, when the trapdoor fell, his body plunged, but his head stayed where the rope was. So in front of a horrified crowd. And it is
I
the yeah,
I wanna just pause for 1 second here.
yeah,
You're watching somebody get hanged and strangled to their death.
yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry, a little blood offends you when you're
Yeah,
watching somebody die.
yeah. One of the only legal decapitations in American history,
No, I
American
get it.
hanging
I just
history.
think it's so funny. People were like, "I'm so offended," and I'm like, um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you're
So,
watching somebody get killed. You don't
yep,
get to get offended."
nope, not at all. So, okay. Now, in the 1890s, the Lakota ghost dance religion promised that sacred shirts and dresses painted with specific symbols would deflect bullets. So this was born of desperation and spiritual fervor, and it was directly into the tragedy at Wounded Knee. The U.S. soldiers viewed the dancers' confidence as dangerous militancy, so they massacred them all. And this brought the armed resistance of the Plains tribes, though, kind of to an end. But yeah, the bulletproof shirts kind of became a symbol of their faith at that point. And yeah, it's a sad end, and it's a shame that it didn't work for them. But
I mean,
those
that would have been
shirts,
completely badass if had it worked.
yeah,
I mean, it is horrific what did happen, and,
yeah.
ugh,
Well,
but
some of the people
that would
say,
have been a wicked bit of badassery had they
yeah.
actually made that work.
Well, some people say that it was because they blessed it against the wrong type of lead, so that they had changed bullets recently. Just different shot. So
I mean,
I don't know if
that's
that's
an
true.
excuse,
Yeah, I don't know
but
if that was true, but they were blessing it against like old, muskets, rifles and stuff, the old one shots. And the army had just switched to the 44 Colts and stuff. So
yeah,
and
um,
and the Springfields. So all right. Anyway, who knows? It's just that's one of those folklore tales. So the mining boom town of Bodie, California, it was so violent that there was this great saying about it. Goodbye, God, we're going to Bodie.
oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, it is. So one local legend there claims that a shootout erupted in a saloon when a drunken bully tried to take another man's brand new boots right off his feet. So when the man who owned the boots refused, the gunfire that erupted, the boot thief was killed, and he died with the words, "They're my boots. They're my boots." And that's the epitaph for the town that needed a Boot Hill cemetery. So that was on his tombstone is, "But they're my boots." So
I mean, that's a fun thing to put on a tombstone, I suppose.
I think so. I think so. All right. So I'm saving one more for the end that everybody's gonna love. But this one, another great name. You ready for this one?
I maybe.
I think you're gonna like this one. Rattlesnake Dick Barter. So let that one
Could
sink
say
in for
that
me.
one really fast.
Yeah. So Rattlesnake Dick was a dandyish California stagecoach robber who left mocking poems at the scenes of his crimes. So now he was killed in a shootout in 1859, and then his body was decapitated So the head could be preserved in alcohol and transported as positive identification to claim the reward. So photographs were taken of the disembodied head, and that image circulated forever along parade routes and in carnivals and circuses. So yeah,
What was his name? Dandy what?
no, Rattlesnake Dick. Rattlesnake Dick Barter. Do not Google that. You might get things you don't want. Don't Google that with safe mode not on. Okay. All
Barter.
right.
I'm
I don't want to know. So I don't know if it's still
oh,
around. Did you see it?
no,
Oh,
I see a picture of him, but not of his head
okay.
in the jar.
All right. Well, good enough. You got a safe view. So just imagine that pickled in alcohol. All right.
Ugh.
So the St. James Hotel in
Mhm.
Cimarron, New Mexico was, I mean, it had guys like Jesse James, Buffalo Bill, a lot of famous people come and go. And there's a persistent ghost story there that the ghost of a murdered pianist or organist still plays phantom music in the dining hall. Now, guests have reported hearing the chords and the piano keys are said to move on their own, even though it doesn't play anymore. And this is just one of the many haunted saloons and hotels out there, right? But that's the one a lot of ghost hunters go to. There are no records of a organist being killed there, but there aren't a lot of records for a lot of the things in the Wild West. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So the St. James Hotel, a must stop when you're in New Mexico. It's a little ways out there to it. Cimarron, not exactly a boomtown anymore. All right. So Spanish treasure galleons are not supposed to be found hundreds of miles from the sea,
No.
but there is a legend that states there is a wreck of a stranded ship buried under the sands of California's Colorado Desert or somewhere in the dunes of the Imperial Valley. And frontier newspapers published several reports of prospectors stumbling upon wooden ribs and rigging poking through the sand. Now, the ship was sometimes described as a Viking longboat or a Spanish caravel, and of course, it's
Okay.
never been recovered. But the story keeps coming back here and again. So treasure hunters do go out looking for this. It's it's a
I
wild
mean,
story.
buried pirate treasure, of course they do.
Yeah. And there's a great episode of Briscoe County Jr. starring the amazing Bruce Campbell where they deal with pirates who had been forced to the Wild West.
See, now I'm beginning to believe you did this entire episode in order to bring up Bruce Campbell again.
Well, Briscoe County Jr., he needs all our support with what he's going through with his cancer diagnosis, and we wish him
Yeah,
all the best. So, all right.
absolutely.
All right. So talking about this, so there is the Superstition Mountains of Arizona. I love that they're just called the Superstition Mountains because, hey,
Yeah.
what you if it looks like a duck. But anyway, supposedly there is the Lost Dutchman's gold mine. So
Okay.
according to legend, Jacob Waltz, known as the Dutchman, took its location to his grave in 1891. He came into
Okay.
town with piles of gold and turned it in. Everybody knew he'd struck it rich. He wouldn't say where. Then he died. So dozens of treasure hunters have gone out looking for them. And then every one of those has either vanished or died in strange accidents or was found decapitated in the mountains.
Yeah, I don't love
So
that.
now the Apache say that the mine is there, but is guarded by spirits. And that the eerie string of deaths is just like, okay. And it is a legend that no signs of fading anytime soon.
No,
So
I wouldn't think so.
yeah. Yeah, that's
But
yeah.
I don't understand why a bunch of people die and people are like, you know what's a good plan? We should go
Yeah.
out there.
We
Let's
should
do
go out and find this guy's old gold mine that we don't know how big it was. He might have brought everything in, but we don't know. So the Lost Dutchman. So not the Flying Dutchman, the Lost Dutchman.
got it.
All right. So now we talked about gunfights over poker games. They're famous. There's a lot of them. But one of my favorites was called the Checkerboard Shootout.
Okay.
1870s in one of those Kansas cow towns that I don't think has a name anymore. But there was an argument over a game of checkers, and it escalated into a saloon gunfight, and it left the two men fighting dead. And just shows you anything could start it.
How do you get mad about a game of checkers when you're not a child and don't understand how to play?
Well, in the Wild West, board games could get you killed. We know this now. So
That's terrible.
I'm just glad they didn't play Go or
Oh,
Othello. Man, that would have
could you imagine Risk? Oh.
Axis and Allies. That would be the one. Or just imagine Catan. I need wool for sheep. F you, blam.
Magic the Gathering.
Tap
Yeah.
this card while I'm burying you like I buried your card. All right.
I love it.
I love that. So, all right. So now we're getting in some interesting ones that are even more interesting. So in the early 1890s, a group of cavalry scouts from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, they made a pretty scary discovery while riding through the Wichita Mountains.
Okay.
Jutting from a sandstone outcrop that had been half eroded by wind and rain was a complete stone cold figure of a man frozen in a crouched position, and his hands raised as if he was like warding off a blow. And newspapers all over, particularly Kansas to Texas, ran the headline, "The Stone Man of the Plains." And some claimed it was a lost Spanish conquistador turned mineral over the centuries. Others, particularly the Comanche, said he was a cavalry scout who had betrayed a tribal chief, and he was cursed to stand watch over the prairie until the end of time. So when some scientists studied it, they said it was a natural concretion, and it's just a bizarre trick of geology where minerals, cemented around organic matter. But a lot of people pretty much unconvinced. They said it was way too human, way too deliberate, and it was eventually carted off to a museum in Kansas, and it was displayed alongside other oddities. But in 1926, there was a fire, and it got destroyed. So, but some of the guys at Fort Sill, they swore they'd seen it, and it had eyes that were, would follow them, and it wasn't just a rock outcropping.
I'm glad
So
somebody took the Erica burn it to the ground philosophy and applied that to this situation.
I could see that. I could see that one.
Seems like the right thing to do.
All right. So we talked about on our UFO episode the Marfa lights,
Mhm.
Marfa, Texas, and people think, oh, as modern tourists go there looking for UFOs, they go way back. Cowboys talked about it in the 1880s. They talked about floating orbs that danced across the desert floor. They called them witch lamps or bruja luces, or lantern spirits. And they thought it was the restless souls who had perished in a drought, and they were still searching for herds and water sources. And again, they were super unpredictable. Sometimes one light, many lights, yellow, blue, red. Sometimes they'd split apart. Um, and this is descriptions all the way back to the 1880s. Um, there was um, Comanche and Apache elders just won't talk about it at all. They like to refuse they
Well,
exist. And then,
and we've heard about things like that for years. It's so interesting because when probably even back then, like, I think these days we'd be more freaked out about it than they would back then.
well, yeah, they mentioned things that were omens for, warfare or epidemic, and that may be why they don't wanna talk about it, they wanna manifest it. Um, Now we do have in 1884 a stagecoach driver named Elias Pike. He tried to shoot one, and his bullets went right through the lights, but then the light returned really bright right in his face, and, then he said it followed him home and was hovering outside his window so he couldn't sleep. So,
As you should, he shot at it. It wasn't
yep,
even doing
exactly.
anything.
It's just a light, come on.
A
Okay,
will-o-wisp.
yeah, yeah, so, alright, so crossing the Llano Estacado, it's this just vast tableland that stretches across Texas and New Mexico, and it
Okay.
was, it's a tough travel on a clear day, but at night, travelers said that they saw something that would just go crazy, a phantom stagecoach pulled by 4 white horses, and they were running at an impossible speed, and it would make no sound, it made no ruts in the ground, its, lanterns glowed with some sort of green light, and it would appear on the horizon, go straight towards you, and just before impact, disappear, dissolve into darkness. And, so the story goes that it was the spirit of a Butterfield Overland mail coach that had been, ambushed by Comancheros in the 1850s, and its passengers were slaughtered, the cargo was stolen, we do have records of that, and, the driver was a man named Jeremiah Cobb, and he was found lashed to his seat with a bullet between his eyes, and so some people say it was the ghost coach, trying to either make its delivery or flee, and, yeah, still supposedly there. I heard, reports from one of our campers, a traveler out there, who said he heard the jingle of horse harnesses late at night, and he knows no living horse was anywhere near there because they had marched to an area in the middle of nowhere. So that's why I bring this
Ah,
one up.
that's kinda cool, though. I like that.
Mhm. All right, so this is one of my favorites. So Jim Donnelly, he was a prospector in Nevada's remote Reese River Valley, and he was known for his iron constitution and his tendency to drink himself into oblivion. So
I appreciate this man. Good. Well done.
I think this guy is pretty much between us a spirit animal.
Mhm.
And so in the summer of 1877, his partners returned from a week-long supply run to find his tent collapsed and his body buried under debris from a nearby rockfall. So he was cold, he was not breathing, and he was stiff as a board. So they pronounced him dead and held a funeral and then buried him in a shallow grave on the hillside. And they removed his brand new boots, which one of them claimed was a debt payment that he owed him. So 2 days later, the men were still drowning their sorrows in whiskey. And
Or
in his
celebrating.
Well, it was his stash of whiskey. And
Celebrating.
Jim suddenly walked through the door, coated in dirt, bloodied, and absolutely pissed. He had been in a deep alcohol induced coma, not dead. He clawed himself out of the grave with his bare hands. His first words were alive. I'm alive. And then the second words were, where the hell are my boots? So apparently he chased them with a pickaxe before they finally apologized. And then they gave him a bottle of rye on the house. And he lived another 20 years. But he always wore 2 pair of boots at all times after that, just in case.
I mean, I I bet his feet were cold walking back to town.
Mhm. Yep.
I love that people were so terrible at telling that people were dead,
Yes.
that
Yep.
we continue to have stories of idiots burying people that
Yep.
aren't actually dead yet.
Yep. Yep. At
So
some
ridiculous.
point, we're gonna have to
Where are
do it.
we at? I know you had a ton of these. Are we gonna have
Yep.
to branch into a part 2 here, or
I think we might. We'll do a couple more before we break off, so that way we kinda
okay.
hit the middle of my list. We'll do a part 2. Alright, so, let's go to Yuma, Arizona, the, famous city from a couple westerns.
Mhm.
So, in 1876, there was a local saloon keeper, named Horace Bell, and he said he had the sensation of the century. He had a genuine mermaid. It had washed up from the Colorado River, and it was displayed in a tank of murky water, and it drew crowds as far away as Tucson. And it had the torso of a small monkey stitched crudely to the tail of a large carp. It was a Fiji mermaid. Its mouth was frozen and its hair was human, apparently matted with algae. And he charged 50 cents admission and spun the tale of how it was singing on a riverbank as he caught it. And a traveling taxidermist recognized the handiwork and said, "You know what? This had been assembled in a workshop near me in San Francisco." And undeterred, he christened it the Yuma Siren and continued to exhibit it, claiming that real or fake, she's still the best looking woman in Yuma.
Oh my god.
So, and we don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. It, I'm sure something weird happened to it. So
It probably decayed and had to be thrown away. That's disgusting.
probably taxidermy has that happen. So, all right, last one
Yeah.
before we go then for this
Okay.
episode is the ghost of the Blue Light Mine. So this is in Sierra Nevada. The Blue Light Mine was once a very profitable silver operation,
Okay.
and it had a catastrophic cave in 1878, and it killed a night shift of 6 miners. So the owner sealed the tunnels, and abandoned the claim. But
Okay.
that didn't end things.
Of
So
course not.
prospectors who ventured near the entrance at dusk reported seeing a soft glow emanating from the main shaft and would pulse like a heartbeat. So some people would go in a little bit and they would say they saw a figure in a miner's cap, and his lantern was uh not yellow but kind of a blue flame, blue fire, and he would just wander and he would look at the collapsed timbers, and then he would turn around and like beckon them in. And most
Nope.
people did the Erica nope. Yep, exactly. So they think he was the Welsh miner Ivor Davies, whose body was never recovered from the cave in. And they said his lamp had been filled with a special compound that burned blue because yellow light bothered his eyes. And they never saw him relight it. They said it just always burned. So so many miners would quit on the spot after seeing him, unwilling to risk a curse of some sort. The mine was completely permanently sealed in 1893, but to this day, hikers sometimes say they see a faint blue or yellow shimmer coming through the cracks in the rubble. So,
Yeah, I just got goosebumps and absolutely not. Nope.
yeah. Really?
Mm.
Really? No? Okay.
No,
I'll
I'm
take
gonna
that
do
off
a
the
hard
list.
pass on dead miners.
All right. All right. Well, I
I know.
guess. Um, and for those of you who are like, why didn't you mention this? Why didn't you mention that? We got a part two coming. We got a part two
Do
coming. And I will say this: I am not going to talk about a certain ranch that the Navajo, supposedly, a word that the Navajo use that is not for us. And yeah, it's even if it's on series, 8 seasons. Uh, we'll talk.
8,000 seasons of garbage.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So it's entertainment. It's entertainment, gang. Enjoy the entertainment. Just like us, we're entertainment. I'm not saying all this is 100%. It's Wild West tall tales, so I'm sure some of it's been exaggerated, but we're doing our best. We do our best and we're documenting the folklore. So that's what we do.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, Erica, any last words for this wild, wild, weird West?
I would think I wanna go get a pterodactyl and stake it to my house now, because
There
that
you
seems
go.
like a plan.
Post it up on the barn. That'll be
Yep,
wonderful.
side of the barn. That's
All
what's gonna
right.
happen.
All right. So, gang, thank you so much as always. We're back as best we can be. We appreciate your patience while we skipped a couple weeks. We hadn't missed an episode in 260 episodes, so I think we were allowed a little break. And all that said, thank you, Patreon supporters. Oh my gosh, we couldn't do this without you. Please go to our link in the below and go to our Patreon. Throw us $1. It makes a big difference if you can. You get on our Discord with lots of fun people to talk about spooky things and all that. We appreciate every one of you. We'll see you at an upcoming event. EerieTravels.com has all the links to everything. And when you're out in the Wild West and you're out there with your rootin' tootin' and hee hawing and just going out there to rustle some dogies and maybe just find your smile like they did in City Slickers. Make sure you watch for flying, fire breathing dragons. Watch out for the jackalope. And if you see Big Nose George, tell him those are some pretty fine boots. And we'll see you on the other side.